All right, sound check. Fabio, looks like you're already in channel, bro. How are you tonight? Hang on one second. Hang on one second. I'll be right back. All right. Sound check. Hear me all right? Crystal clear? Coming in good? Hello, hello. Can you hear me? Ah, perfect. Okay, we'll give it a couple of minutes and see if anybody straggles in, and then we'll take off from there. Do you have, in the meantime, do you have any questions? While we're waiting on everybody else, do you have any questions? Anything you want me to go over? What do I think of bot trade? I am not sure. Let's see. Elliot, CME gap at 9100. Yeah, let me go ahead and pull that chart over real quick. That was on the futures chart. Let me change my pointer focus so we can get the right color on it here. Oops, let's see, where is it? There it is. Okay, options, and let me switch that over to yellow, just so you'll be able to see where I'm pointing to. Let me go ahead and switch over the futures chart just real quick. Okay, and so there we go. Now you'll notice you do not see it on a daily chart, right? And I'll scroll in so you can see it real good. And I'm not a huge fan, right, of anything less than a daily gap, right? But 4-hour gaps or higher will work, right? So this is a daily chart, and you notice there's not a gap in here, right? So, I mean, these candles line up on each other. There's not like an in-between. But when you flip it to a 4-hour chart, we're almost there. Okay? Here's where trading activity was at 88.65. Came all the way down, hit lower Bollinger Band, held the 50 EMA. And so, I mean, nice bounce off the 50, right? And so somebody in here, in this little area where, you know, I wouldn't call it so much resistance, but a little consolidation area, right? Right in this area. And now it's holding this. And you see a big wick. This is like really good support in here now. So when we're looking at this 85.30 area, we have to think about that. right? So we have to think about that area as being support. So anyway, gap to fill up at 88.66. Let's just call it 88.70 just to be on the safe side. I mean, I could go over here and just hover over that, and that'll show 88.65. So anyway, that's what we got on the gap for the CME futures. As far as the daily chart goes, and while I've got it up, I'll cover this just real quick. Here's the only thing that gives me pause, okay? This is what gives me pause on this. And it's basically the squeeze indicator, okay? We are going on, I mean, you can see what happened back in here when things was trying to turn around, and then the histogram got, it started turning around after about 4 or 5. We are going on one, and I'm counting only where the green dots were at the bottom, right? That means it's alive. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We're on bar number 11. So let's not be shocked, okay, if out of the blue here in the next few days we get some sort of pullback, okay, and we start seeing some darker blue histogram, right? So let's not be shocked about that. I mean, we did test the 23.6, and that's very strong, very bullish, but let's not be surprised if maybe we get a move all the way back down to 8,000. That should not shock people if it happens. Okay? So that's our futures chart. So let's get that. I'll keep it over here in case we need to go back to it. And I'll just minimize it. Let me go ahead and change my pointer focus. So any questions about that? Okay. So moving on. And really what I want to do, guys, I want to dedicate this night to you guys. What do you want to see? What charts do you want me to do? I'm not going to sit here and just go over a bunch of stuff unless that's what you want me to do. But, okay, so here we go. I'm going to dedicate this night to training and chart requests. All right, so Fabio, you want me to expand on explanations of moving averages. Okay, so I guess I could do it let me do it this way. Let's see. I'll just get this in. There we go. Maybe not. Let's do it this way. All right. So your longer term moving averages, right? You want the 200 or the 233. Okay. You want to keep those as simple as possible, right? You don't want exponential on those. But what those are, you have to look at it. That's long-term viewers, right? It's like, or long-term holders. That's a 200-day moving average. That means to me, that's almost like, I would say, institutional money, right? These are the guys that when it gets down low, they've probably already been buying. And when you start to see these curl up and turn up, you're bullish, right? That's bullish. But what turns them bullish? The shorter term moving averages. So that's why we keep in a 10, a 20, and a 50. Those are exponential moving averages. Okay? It's all time based. The lower time frame moving averages update a lot quicker when they're on exponential. Okay? The simple you don't have to worry about because they're longer term. Okay? But my theory of everything, and I know there's people that come up with death crosses and all that kind of good stuff, but to me, what I look at and tend to look at, like for short term, is I want to see I think one of the more underestimated EMAs out there is the 50-day EMA. Now, some people may want to use a 55 because it's a fib number, but I like to keep it kind of simple. You know what I'm saying? Just 50, 10, 20, 50. Those are the, they're roundabout numbers. And when you look at price-wise, if you was to plug those in, you're not looking at huge differences. So we can see if we go back, all right, and let's just go way back. Okay, let's go back to when we started hitting 3,000 and what was going on. Okay, this thing was screaming down. We're not even anywhere close to the 200 or the 233. Now, keep those in mind because, as I've stated, over time, okay, and it may take a month or two depending on how far away you are from it, but you're not going to get too far away from those before you come back and retest them. Okay? So we got so far away from the 200-day moving average down here that things had to start correcting. And once you started seeing this bottom basing formation right here, here comes your 200, 233, and now all of a sudden you start getting your lower time frame moving averages turning, coming back, testing, holding, and then going sideways, consolidating, and then it finally consolidates enough that, boom, you're outside the Bollinger Band. Big spike. You pull back in, another spike. Hits the top of the Bollinger Band. Pull in a little bit. Little spike, and then pulling back down to the 10 EMA, and then crossing through the 200 and the 233, and now all of a sudden the 233 is becoming support. Which leads to what? It leads to this. Right? So that's why moving averages are so important. You can see that the 10 never crossed the 20. Once the 10 crossed the 20 and got this thing going, you're going to come back and you're probably going to go a wick below a 20, but look what's right there below it. A Bollinger Band. That is support. This was support. So on this move right here where it looked like people were talking about, oh, we're going to go back down and make new lower lows, all you have to do is look at your chart. Don't sit there and listen to that Twitter crap. Okay? Because there's bears out there that want to try to scare you off, but that's what you look at, right? They never crossed. The 10 never crossed the 20. All we did was get a bounce off prior support and the lower Bollinger Band, and then quickly recovered the 10 before it could cross the 20, and then that's when you get your move and bears give up. So now what are we looking at? Let's go look at today's action. Okay? And again, here's what can happen. Cross below the 20, right there. Made a spike up here to get back above it, but by this time we've got an established downtrend line. Not just there, but up here. And I'm sure there was a fib number that was back in here when I drew the chart. But regardless, coming back down, and now all of a sudden you're below the 50. We get above it a little bit and things go sideways and then fall off a cliff, right? Fast forward to the future, we keep making these lows, and then all of a sudden we're doing now the same kind of thing that we did back in 2019. Trying to form this little bottom here. Big bullish engulfing candle right there. We already went over the head. We had the head and shoulders, inverted head and shoulders called. And so now where are we at? We're testing the 200 and the 233. 10 has not crossed the 20. This is actually going to be bullish until the 10 crosses over the 20, and even more specifically crosses through the 50 EMA. Okay? So anyway, that's kind of your moving averages. And right now, I'm looking at the Bollinger Bands. And in my mind, I'm thinking we kind of hug in this area for a while, and then let's see if the 20-day moving average, or the EMA, gets up in this area, and then it wants to test it again, right? And not just that, but we're retesting a trend line right here, this downtrend line that we broke. So we're coming back and retesting it. If that holds, we go higher. Yes, it's a 10-day moving average. All right, any questions? So, and again, to expand on it just a little bit, here's what typically happens, okay? And I'm going to show you this real quick, right? When this 10 EMA, look at this. The 10 EMA is this one right here. When it breaks above the 20, you can see how price respects it. We had a bullish engulfing candle right here. All sorts of stuff going on. But once it broke, okay, and that's a daily, excuse me, that's a daily candle. So I'm sure somewhere during the day, you know, especially probably right at the open, you know, because it opened right here, it wicked down and hit the 20-day moving average, right? People were probably thinking, oh, it's going to reverse. Hits the 20-day moving average, and then you get that big green stick off of it. Now price is going in the right. You got this. 10 crossing the 50. 20 is now crossing the 50. And now price is respecting the 10 EMA. You see this? Outside Bollinger Bands, pulls back in, holds the 10 EMA. Bounce, pull back in, holds the 10 EMA. Bounce, we're pulling back in. We're holding the 10 EMA. We wicked below, but on a closing basis, we're holding it. Now, if you was to pin me down and ask me, you know, what I think is going to happen, then I would say that I love this candle right here on the daily chart. It completely retook this one right over here. My guess is that until we see a daily close below that 10 EMA, this thing could just flop back and forth for a little bit and let this upper Bollinger Band come in and close in, and then these Bollinger Bands get tight, right? And so we probably consolidate either right here in this 8,300 area, or we come back and possibly test the 38.2 at 8,000, which is going to bring those Bollinger Bands even tighter, and then we get the next move. Okay, so I don't think this is going to happen just like immediately, but that's kind of what I'm thinking, at least early on. But if you're not holding Bitcoin, you ought to be holding some Bitcoin in my view. I'm not seeing a lot or a ton of it, but I think, you know, you ought to be holding some. All right. Did I just lose everybody here? Let me refresh this. Excuse me. Okay. Well, I was looking at my, usually it'll tell me when people are watching, and all of a sudden it went down to 0, and I was like, wait a second. It was like, you know, I had quite a few people in here, and then all of a sudden it went to 0. I was like, uh-oh. All right, so any other questions? Chart requests? Now, does everybody understand, let me ask everybody this. Does everybody understand symmetry? Okay? Yeah, XTZ, I sure will. I'll go over that one here in just a minute. Does everybody understand symmetry? I kind of want to go over that just real quick too. And how symmetry can play a part in the market. Okay, so symmetry is basically where we're going to take one move that happened in the past and see if that same move, and it doesn't have to be just exact to the day, but it could just be price-wise, right? And it's really simple to do, okay? So this little blue line right up here, okay, I'm going to take it out, and I'm going to show you why I got that blue line right there and why it's just another one of those things you can throw on your chart that gives you either support or resistance. So see the big move that we had back here in October? Okay. I'm going to go over to my little fib area and I'm going to do what's called a trend-based fib extension right here. And basically what that means is when I draw it from this low up to this high, okay, that's the distance, right? How far it went. Now I'm going to take it down to this low, okay? And the thinking here is that if it made this move back then, and even though it was a 1 or 2 day move, then possibly is it going to make a similar type move point-wise? And if it does, that takes it up to 9,600. Well, coincidentally, I have a 78.6 retracement, okay, from this high to this low that lines up right on top of it. And it's amazing how that really happens, right? So one could think that the next run that we get, and not only that, but you have a 261.8 retracement right above it, which is basically from that high to this low, right? So this little area right here is telling me that if this thing is going to go up some more, then this is going to be the next area of resistance, major resistance, okay? So anyway, hopefully everybody understood that, and if you don't, let me know. I will go over it again. Okay, so Elliot, let's look at XTZ. There it is, okay. This is XTZ USD chart. Just basically kind of seeing like a, and again, here we go with our moving averages, right? This thing was basing, and holding this support down here. Oh, thanks, Elliot. I appreciate it. My pleasure. But it was going sideways and holding this support, and I was like telling everybody, keep an eye on XTZ, right? Keep an eye on it. And boom, pull back in, and we hold the 50-day moving average, right? 50 EMA right there. We get back above the 10, the 20 never cross, and so now we break old resistance over here, right? Because it was a resistance. And as it pulled back, now we're watching this area to see if it's going to hold as support. So that's $1.50, this green zone right here. Resistance is right up here where it hit and stopped at the 61.8 retracement, which was basically from this high to that low. And that's what gets us to that 61.8. Okay? Now, I did draw another fib, okay, from this low to this high to give us our potential downside targets. So let's see if anything hit today. And it looks like the 38.2 was broken. So let's go to our settings and take out the 38.2. And it hit the 50, but still holding this support area. Okay? And I don't see anything on this candlestick pattern that tells me that it's a major reversal or anything like that. This, I mean, obviously it's above the Bollinger Bands, right? You see it here, so it's pulling back in. Let's just see for the next couple of days, or maybe tomorrow, or by Thursday, goes sideways for a couple of days, and then maybe take out that 61.8 and hit next resistance up at $1.70. Now, if it breaks below this support zone, and right there, that would be your 10 EMA. If it breaks below that, you could see a wick all the way down to $1.40. Okay, and that would be the 78.6 retracement. But by that time, who knows, the 20 could be up here around the 61.8. So in this area would be support. $1.41 to $1.45. That is if this green support area fails. Okay? So that is XTZ. Not really. I mean, no, moving averages are totally different than Fibonacci retracements. They really are. I mean, but it's amazing how they can line up, right? It's all numbers. It's all numbers based, right? This is all mathematics, and it's just how something lines up with something. It can be just totally amazing. It really can. So when I do a trend-based fib extension, I do Fibonacci extensions, and they all seem to line up in certain areas. That just in my mind tells me, especially on Fibonacci clusters, when I draw them from multiple areas, if I get something lining up, that just tells me that that's more important resistance or it's more important support, depending on the direction of the market. Okay. All right. Any other questions? Chart requests? Yes, absolutely. I mean, it's funny because there are some people that will use moving averages only. I mean, there are people out there that do that. Some people will use moving averages only. They may use Fibonacci only. They may use Ichimoku Cloud only. There are some people that will use just one thing on their chart, and that's it, because they're comfortable with it, right? And it's up to you to figure out what you're comfortable with. If you don't understand something totally, then don't let somebody else try to talk you into it. Now, if you're brand new and something works for somebody else and they've proven it in the past, then by all means, take a look at it. But you have to be taught that, and you have to be comfortable with that. Just because my teacher taught me a long time ago about stuff, he started getting into what's called delta trading, and that had to do with moon phases and stuff like that. And I was like, dude, you totally lost me, and it was too much work, and I was like frustrated. And I said, no, I'm just going to stick back to the basics of what you taught me, But he was always one of those that would go on to the next thing and try to get into more stuff, and I was like, I couldn't deal with it. So stick with what's comfortable to you. Vincent, yeah, let me look at ETC real quick for you. Well, this thing's been a beast, hadn't it? Let me do this because it's been breaking a lot of Fibonacci numbers. Let me go over to a weekly chart real quick. And let's go do a fib retracement. Let's go from the all-time high down to the all-time low. And that was, wow, that was a nice little double bottom, right? Once it hit that 320, 330 area, impressive. So let's take out the 50. And it's already broken past the 61.8. So let's take that out. So we've got a 78.6, the 261.8. And actually, I need to redo that because it did make a new low. Let me get that out of there. Oops. Let me get that out of there and redo it. Yeah. So let me do this. Okay. And this is, again, this is based on a weekly chart, but let's try this one down to here. And I think that was the actual low. There we go. And let's go on our settings. And let's see if, yeah, I think it was the 70. Yeah, it's pretty close to the 78.6. Actually nudged above it a little bit. Tempted to keep it on there. I will just for now. Let's see. And then let's go over to this one and draw it over here. And isn't that interesting? Okay. So, are you seeing this? You see how I did that, Vincent? So, I drew a Fibonacci from this wick to the bottom. I drew another one from this high to this low. And I'm getting two lines right there on top of each other. That's a 127.2 and that's a 78.6 retracement. Not saying that that's the absolute top or anything like that, because this looks pretty darn bullish on a weekly chart. Yeah, that's basically. Yeah, let's see what that wick was. That was $12.07. $12.07. So in that area, and here's the thing, guys. When it comes to drawing Fibonacci and whatnot, it does not have to be to the exact number, right? Because I'm using a Coinbase exchange, right? Somebody else may be using a totally different exchange, and these numbers could vary by pennies, right? So just because I put them on this chart doesn't mean it has to hit to the exact penny. It will almost never happen. But it's that area that you're looking at. Okay? And then for giggles and grins, I think I already have this one on here. Or do I? Let's see. I don't. So just for giggles and grins, and I'll let you see me do it live here. So I got it from there to there. Okay. So now let's draw another one. How about this high? You all right? This was a swing high. Let's draw that fib down to here. Okay, and then let's see if anything lines up. And let's just, oops. There we go. All right. So let's go over here. And so we got that. Let's go 61 point. No, we already broke that. 786. 1272. 1618. It's already broke. Let's go 2.618. Okay. It's nothing really lining up big on that one. So This is going to be your area to watch. And then if it breaks this little wick right here, probably comes up and tests 13. 61.8 fib on right here. I'll show you. It's 78.6. See, if I zoom in a little bit, it's a 786 and a 1272. Those two numbers right there. And then if we go back and let's switch back over to a daily chart real quick and just kind of look there, see what's happening. I mean, gosh, what a beauty, right? So it made this massive move. And actually, let me get that. There we go. Let me get that out of there. Forgot to get that out. I do not have a 68% fib. There's no such thing. Oh, you're in since 6. Nice. 61.8. 61.8. That's your fib number. And I'm sure I've seen it out there before. There's guys out there that say 65% is a golden ratio fib number, and it's not true, guys. Sorry. They can feed that bull crap to somebody else, not me. I mean, they could try to make it up themselves and customize it, and maybe it's worked in a couple of times in situations, but no. That is not a fib number. 61.8 fib and then a retrace. Yeah, I mean, we're in this area right here, right? So let's do this, okay? Let's just go back and see. We know that this area right up here is resistance, right? 12-ish or close to 12. So let's go find out why we bounced here, other than the 10 EMA. Okay, and Fabio, if you're there, are you seeing this? Look at this. Price was outside the Bollinger Bands, okay? And now I will say this about ETC, okay? Notice the candlestick pattern right here. That's a bearish engulfing candle pattern, okay? That's bears taking over. Now, the positive side to this, at least short term, is that this candle did not go red again. It didn't close red. It closed green. Bounced off the 10 EMA. This is still bullish until it comes back below the 10 EMA. And then you're making a bigger retracement, which could be influenced by that candlestick pattern right there. Now, we were outside the Bollinger Bands, as you can see, right? That's your outside Bollinger Band. Upper Bollinger Band. We were outside, way outside. And this is another little tip, okay, guys? And this is why you should never FOMO. If you don't have Bollinger Bands on your chart, get them on your chart, okay? Get them on there ASAP, okay? This is why Bollinger Bands are so important, because they're basically an average of your support, average of resistance. And so when something goes way outside, and ETC was you're going to get these little anomalies every now and then, but it's not sustainable, okay? Price outside Bollinger Band, it did come back in a little bit, but then went higher. And then look at this. How many people were buying up here at 12 bucks? Who was doing that? That was just FOMO stuff. And so guess what happens? They FOMO into it, and now they're stuck after you get this sell-off because people were like, oh, crap. I've got a nice little profit from here to here. I'm taking profits and it sells off, and here come your shorts. I mean, a lot of smart shorts are probably shorting up here, but you get the point. So now it's just in a choppy mode here with the potential. Okay, and let's do our fib retracements. Okay, and let's just see why it hit there. Was it 23.6 or did it even get there? Let's take it from this low up to that high. And let's go to our settings. Okay, so it did pass the 23.6, 38.2. All right, so it hit off the 50% retracement. So it retraced 50% of that move in one day. 2 days. Let's call it 2 days. Okay. Now look at this. I just drew those fib retracements to the downside. Okay. Notice how this area way over here was resistance for a long time, and now it's become support. Who's to say, and I'm not saying it, but it's something you have to be prepared for when you're looking at stuff. Look where our 78.6 retracement lines up if this thing was to keep going lower. It lines up on old resistance, new support. It also, coincidentally, lines up around, what is that, the 50 and 200-day moving averages. So I'm not saying it's crashing or going to do anything like that, but I'm just saying you have to be prepared, right, when you're doing charts. You have to know where the supports and resistances are. Okay? But for now, 50% retracement is support. Okay? If that breaks, then next support is going to be your 20-day moving average at 697, and then down to the 61.8 at 670. So that's going to be your next supports. Next resistance, we already know that. Preferably, I would like to see it get above that red stick right there. That's going to be 9.50 to 10. Yeah, between $9.50 and $10. If it gets above that, then it's probably going to take out this wick and take out that resistance right there and move higher. So that's your downside. That's your upside. What was the other one you wanted to see? There was something else, or was that it? I'm going back and looking. Thought there was something else. Was there something else you wanted to see? Oh, there it is. Litecoin. Okay, Litecoin. Let's go over to Litecoin. And still, I don't have a further update on Litecoin. It's pretty much the same as it was when I did it last night. And to me, it's pretty plain and simple. There is nothing magical here other than it needs to get past this resistance. That red line. That red zone right there. Needs to get past. Okay. Okay, what else can we look at? What else can we have fun with? NEO. Yeah, hang on one second. Let's take a look at it. All right, let me get this going here. I'm assuming you probably want the USD pair, so let's go take a look at that. That's what I would be looking at. And let's take a look here. All right, so since the last time that I watched it, it looks like it's broken some fib retracements. So it's broken the 38.2, the 50, 61.8. All right. Here's the only thing about NEO that I do not like. Okay? And I'm going to show you. And unless this changes real quick, and hopefully it's not a precursor of what's going to happen to Bitcoin, but this little pattern right here. Okay, we've had a big, long uptrend, nice bull move, and then what do you get? You get a green stick, big one here. You get a doji indecision, and then you get sellers taking over the next day. Right? That is a major reversal pattern. It was confirmed the next day with this red close, okay? But then today, we get what's called a tweezer bottom. So there's a little bit of indecision kind of going on in here. It still is closing above the 10 EMA, which is bullish, right? But to me, and let me get this retracement out because that's gone. Let's see. Let's do this. Let's clean it up a little bit. All right. So this area over here was resistance, which I had in red. All right. We're going to move that out, and then we're going to do this. We're going to draw a rectangle. And we're just going to make this area green now. Okay? So this area ought to be support. Now, if this is the start of a bigger move to the downside, then what do? We've established our support zone, right? Okay? Now what are we going to do? We're going to do some fib retracements. Since we think that the 78.6 is a more important resistance area, okay? Now we're going to do some fib retracements and see on the downside. So we're going to go to this low, and we're going to go up to the 78.6. Then I'm going to right-click on that, and I'm going to go to Settings, move that out of the way just a little bit, and I would almost guess that's 38.2. And yes, it is. So, hey, Handy, how are you doing? All right. So, yeah, Handy, we're basically going over the NEO chart. USD pair. So the 38.2 is there. Let's go ahead and throw in our other ones. We got the 1272. Okay. And then, again, what I was going to see if anything lines up on this support zone. And what lines up? It's a 50% retracement. Right? So if NEO is going to retrace half of this move, it's going to come down and retest that support zone and then potentially bounce off that and go higher. Okay? So again, guys, sometimes sometimes retracements are not bad, but you have to determine if there's more important areas to watch than others. Right? So you've got some support right here at the 233-day moving average. You've got the 20-day moving average coming up. You got the 50 that's crossing through the 200, or possibly, and coming up into this support zone. So let's just keep an eye on this little area for NEO, and let's see what happens over the next few days. I'm not saying it's going to happen tomorrow. I'm not saying it has to happen, period. But logically, a retracement back down to this area would be very healthy. And especially after seeing something like that. But again, it's closing above the 10 EMA, and until that breaks and closes below it, then we're not going to see down to this area. All right, so that's what I got on NEO. Any questions about NEO? Okay, is there anything chart-wise or training-wise you want me to go over? I mean, does everybody understand Fib clusters? Does everybody understand moving averages? How those work? Why they work? Old support, new resistance. Old resistance, new support. Those support lines are very important, guys. And then when you throw fibs on there and moving averages, they all seem to line up. Also the Bollinger Bands. And I think we've gone over that. When not to buy, when to buy. Or, if you like to short, when to short and when not to short. And if you guys don't understand what happens outside Bollinger Bands, I pray that you've been watching, just so you know. And this works on multiple time frames, right? Okay, there you go, Vincent. All right, so to me, and this is just me, okay? But I'll just tell you, when I see, and unless I'm very quick and I'm very careful, I would not, when you see price go outside of a Bollinger Band, okay, and here's that Bollinger Band. Now, if there's Momo going on, right, you could get lucky, buy into it, and ride it for just a little bit, okay? But I would not stick around very long at all, because what can happen? You go up above the Bollinger Band, and let's just say you got lucky and bought it at $9. Okay? You bought it at $9, and then all of a sudden the next day it pulls in just a little bit, just a hair, and goes higher to 11. Are you going to be adding here, or are you going to be selling here? Right? I would be a seller of anything. I mean, where I'm looking to buy, okay, where I'm looking to buy on this is back in here when the Bollinger Bands are getting tight. Right? And you could keep a stop loss. You would probably want to keep it below the Bollinger Band and below an old support line, like down in here. You got to give yourself some room. It's not like you can just say, okay, I'm going to get in and then I'm going to put my stop loss 10 cents lower. You got to give yourself a little bit more leeway than that, right? So you would have wanted to put your stop loss down here. Now, let's just say you got in. Let's just say you got in right in here, $7. The minute price moves over and gets above that Bollinger Band, then what are you doing? You're following my trading plan. You're getting your original investment out plus some profit, still keeping part of your position in play. And so if it does make this type of move and it gets way, way outside, then sell the rest of your position. And so you've made money. You've protected yourself here, got your capital out, plus profit. Now, if it wants to go to the moon, like it did right here, then you sell the rest of it. Let it pull back in, and if it starts holding EMAs, then you can buy back a little bit. Now, and my trading plan is on the Discord channel. You have to calculate it. And again, it depends on how much capital you've got, how much you put it into something. Those are all factors that you have to figure out yourself, right? But initially, what you want to do, and consider this, okay? And I've tried to tell everybody this, is that just think back to 2018. Okay, think back to 2018 when alts were going crazy and stuff like that, and they're just making moves and whatnot. If you had followed my trading plan, okay, and let's just say you wanted to keep some just because you love it, right? You think it's got potential. You could get your original profit out, or original capital out, plus a little profit, and then let the rest ride. Okay? Just let it ride. If you think that thing's going from $1 to $5 or $20, just let it ride. There's always going to be dips and valleys. You can always buy back. Okay? But what can never happen to somebody is going 100% in on one coin. You can't do it. That is the quickest way to go broke that I've ever seen. That's why 90% plus, I think it's like 93% of traders fail. They can't get that simple plan in their head. They just can't. They go 100% in, 100% out. What you have to focus on is this. And I'll just type it in the channel. Compounding your money. You have to compound your money. So, and again, I'll tell this story. When I was trading back in 1999, okay, I did this one time and one time only in my whole career. I was down to my last $3,000. Okay, and I saw a penny stock, and a friend recommended it to me, and I went all in because I was like, I had lost so much money, and I was like, screw it, right? And this is before I met the guy that taught me about everything. But I got lucky, but I went all in. Okay, the next day I wake up, my money doubled. But after that, I met the guy that was teaching me everything. And he started showing me stuff. And he's the one that taught me about this trading plan. And that's what I started doing. And so over the course of 3 months, I took that, well, after I doubled it, it was $6,000. I took that $6,000 and turned it into $150,000. Okay? It can happen. You just have to be disciplined. Right? Everybody and their dog thinks, and let's just pull it up. Okay? I'll pull up Bitcoin. Everybody and their dog thought back here at 13,000 that this was going to 25. It was going to 50,000. Right? It doesn't work that way. Okay? Nothing goes straight up. There's dips and valleys. There's dips and valleys. And then you possibly start a new trend. But if you're following the trading plan, you're sitting there over time just taking some of these little moves, right? They happen all the time. Look at this. Okay? You had that move. Well, you had this move. You had that move. You had that move. Even though it goes down, you still had that move. It goes down. You had that move. Down. Up move. Down. Up move. This is peaks and valleys, right? So pick your positions, right? It's not going to be totally bearish. It's not going to be totally bullish, right? But you could sit there and just swing trade the crap out of this and collect free positions, right? You don't stick around forever. You get in at a good entry point, or what you think is, like this inverted head and shoulders. You buy it here at 77.41 on the break, and then you're possibly selling up here around 8,900. So depending on your capital, you sell out your original investment plus a little profit. Now you've got some Bitcoin that's just riding free, right? You've made some money. You got your capital out. Hey, if Bitcoin crashes tomorrow, guess what? You still made money on it. Right? You could sell it at 10 cents and you still made money. But you want to keep that original investment in there, right? I mean, you could do it two ways. But if you're looking to compound your money, that's what you do. Always get your original capital out. Okay? And you don't want to go 100% in. I recommend no more than, I would say 25 to 30% of your capital on any trade. Okay? That's just, what if something happened and that thing went against you? What if you got in and something's going bankrupt, or your computer went down, or, whatever, or you accidentally forgot to put a stop loss in? There's any number of factors and circumstances that can make you go broke. The goal is to stay in the game. Okay? And it's a game. You want to stay in the game. Okay. So sorry about that soapbox I was on, but anyway, just trying to help you guys out, trying to get you where you need to be. I don't see a lot of people talking about my trading plan. I really don't. I think a lot of people just sit there and get the moon in their mind, and this is going to 20,000 real quick, and it just doesn't happen, guys. It really doesn't. Okay, so would I set an alert for when the asset break? Yes, I would. Absolutely. Yeah. And then you start really paying attention to it. You know what I'm saying? That's when, like, if you get in before it hits that area, yeah, set an alert so when it breaks above it, that's letting you know that, hey, I need to, start paying attention and getting some of my profit off the table. Handy. If you're trading with leverage, oh boy, that's always been a tough one. Golly, I would just be real careful with leverage. Right? It's like a loan. It's like a loan. You're even though a lot of people, and I know it's tempting. It's very tempting when people have leverage to sit there and play with more money than what they've got. But that could also get you broke real quick. I mean, you have got to be spot on with your trades, and you've got to be quick and disciplined. And especially if you're shorting. Okay? Yeah, Vincent, I think that would be a good one. I really do. I think, anytime it breaks outside of a Bollinger Band, I would put an alert on there. If you're in a position, you know what I'm saying? And even then, if you're not, let's just say, look at this. I mean, hell, back here, look at Bitcoin. This was back in mid-December. So what did we have? We had two areas, two times. Price broke below the lower Bollinger Band. Okay? Didn't quite get to the 127.2 retracement, which I don't think I had it on that retracement, had it drawn there. I had it drawn to this one. But you get a nice move. Look at this. Price outside Bollinger Bands. I would be sitting there going, okay, I need to start looking at this to potentially buy it. Not that you're going to catch the exact bottom, but if you start to see it turn a little bit, You could have got in around 60. Hell, even if you're conservative and waited for up here, 6,800, and then could have sold at 7,800. That's a 1,000-point move. Or you could have sold it in 7,500. That's an 800-point move. You know, and could have done the same thing back here, which turned out to be the low of this bigger move. Price outside Bollinger Bands, hits a Fibonacci retracement at 1272, and then takes off. So those are things you can watch when it comes to Bollinger Bands, right? And so right now, all we're doing is staying inside now, right? Had the move outside, pulled back in, had a little bit of a reversal right here, and now we're going to see if these Bollinger Bands get tight again. And isn't that what tends to happen? When you see something make a bigger move like this, and the Bollinger Bands spread out, guess what happens? Give it a few days, and these Bollinger Bands come back and tighten up a little bit. Same thing could happen right in here. We could start getting tight on the Bollinger Bands around end of this month or early February. So just something to watch. All right. What's next to look at? Chart requests. Anything trending-wise? Supports, resistance, Fibonacci, Tomo. What is I've never heard of that one. Tomo, BTC. You want the BTC pair? You want BTC pair or do you want USD? Fibonacci. Obania. Hi. Obina. Let's see here. Let me do Tomo real quick for Vincent. Vincent, I'll do... Okay, there you go. USD. All right. So let's go take a look at it. And I'll tell you what, Obina, if you'll watch, I'm going to do Fibonacci on this one. Okay, I've never looked at this chart in my life. Never even seen it. Okay? So watch as I do this. Okay? So I've got the chart up, right? And so the first thing I want to do, and when I'm looking at a chart, right, I'm just basically looking at the ups and the downs, and I'm sitting here and I see, okay, lower low, but then we came back and made a higher high, and now it's just kind of consolidating. So in my mind, I'm sitting here looking and I'm going, okay, well, there has to be a Fibonacci number somewhere in this area, and more precisely, probably right here. So what is that number? Let's do this. And if I was to guess, it's probably the 61.8. That's my guess. Let's see. So I'm going to take it from this low down to, or up to that high. And it's right there at it, okay? Wicked a little bit below, lower Bollinger Band held. It's in that area, right? There's a big price difference between the 61.8 and the 78.6, but that's close enough. Okay, close enough. Now, if I was to do this on the upside, I'm going to look at it and say, okay, well, what stopped this move right up here? Okay, I could say, let's do this. Let's go and do a horizontal ray. And let's go up to that wick and draw it over. Okay? So that's one, right? I'm going to do this. I'm going to change it to red. So this old area over here that was a high has held that as resistance. Not just once, but twice. Actually, 3 times. Now let's go and see, drawing it from here down to here, and let's see if we had anything. Well, isn't that amazing? We got a 78.6 that's holding it up. And guys, I've never seen this chart before in my life, okay? But all you have to do is take that area right there, that wick, draw it over, draw a Fibonacci from this high to this low, and look what's blocking it. It's the 78.6 retracement. That is a key number in all the crypto charts I'm seeing. The 78.6 has always been one of those that is either support or resistance major, right? Okay, so we've got that. Now let's do this. Let's see, obviously it passed. Let me get that out of their way there. Let's do 38.2, get that out, and the 50, okay. All right, so we've established a Fibonacci low, right, in here. But when it breaks below a little bit and kind of holds that, it makes me think, could we possibly go a little bit lower? And we've seen what a 78.6 can do on the upside. What will it do when it hits here? Okay. Yeah, so the Bollinger Bands looks... Okay, so Vincent, here we go. So Bollinger Bands break up, or I mean the price, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Price outside, pulls back in. Price outside, pulls back in. Price outside, pulling in, outside, outside, outside. 3-day move. Back inside, outside again. Until finally you get up to the 78.6 again and the upper Bollinger Band, and it just says, no, that's enough. And then takes the hard drop. Right? You were given a signal back in here that, especially with these long wicks coming out the top, that people are taking profits. So why are you going to stick around, especially when you know you got the 78.6 and an old resistance line up here? Why are you going to get greedy? Who's buying that up there? I'm not. And here's what I'll tell you. If it was one of those that it did go past that, then I would just say that's it. I'm sorry, I missed the move. I missed it. There are too many other coins and much other better plays out there than to risk my money buying into resistance. I'm not doing it. I will not buy into resistance. I would want to see a retracement off that and then see if it's got enough juice after sustaining a bottom to get back through that. Okay? So anyway, and now let's do this, okay? We're not done with Fibonacci yet, okay? We're not done. So now what are we going to do? Okay? I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and I'm going to look at it and say, you know what? Let's just assume that that's a top. We know that. Let's just see if that's the bottom, and where are we going to bounce from there? So I'm going to throw in my fib tool. I'm going to put it on that high and draw it down to this low. I'm going to go to my settings, and I want to see why it stopped right here. Why did it stop right there? Is that a 23.6 retracement or a 38.2? It looks like a 38.2. Okay? 38.2. So it's stuck right now between a 38.2 and a 61.8. Right? And notice how tight these Bollinger Bands are. Okay? So you have to ask yourself, am I willing, okay? And if you are, here's what you have to do. Put that little line in right there on that wick. Change that to green. That's your support. That's your support zone right in there. Okay, that's your support zone. Yes, tight means consolidation. Yeah, it's consolidating right here for the next move. Oh, Bina, did that make sense? All that Fibonacci I went through, that all makes sense, or do I need to go over it again real quick? Um, well, here's the deal. You don't know which way it's going to break, right? I mean, really, none of us do. Oh, you're welcome, Abina. My pleasure. Nobody knows, right? I mean, we can assume or try to. Um, I mean, to me, as long as this 50-day moving average holds and the lower Bollinger Band holds and this support down here holds, this looks bullish to me, right? I mean, this was all, you had a big move, and this is all corrective. Well, I say corrective, that's actually an impulsive kind of move. But you just have to start watching it, right? You got your slow stochastic right here at close to 40. Hey, Ed, how you doing, sir? Thanks for coming in. Appreciate it. Oh, by the way, guys, if you would please, right over here, if you don't mind, tell all your friends, family, whatever, subscribe to my channel or give me a like if you like what I'm doing. Recommend me. I'd sure appreciate it if you think I'm doing a good job. Hello, Pay. So anyway, going back to Tomo, again, as long as it just consolidates right here, if it was to break below that Bollinger Band, the only thing you have to watch for is to make sure that it's not going to ride that Bollinger Band all the way down, right? So everything's a risk in this market, right? You just have to play the percentages. Okay? I still think Tomo probably has another few days of consolidating, possibly. And let's see what happens in here. Okay? Came down here, made a high, higher high. Hasn't made a lower low yet. So, could it possibly break that 38.2? I mean, you could always play the breakout if you wanted to. Let's see. Okay, I'll do that. XTZ. I went over that one earlier. Where's it at? I'll go over it again real quick. Okay. So I'm zooming in on this one. And basically, here's what happened, right? We had this area over here, which was resistance. It became support, and that's why I put this green support zone in here. And as it came down, what was happening? It was going sideways into support. So more people were accumulating in this area, and then all you get is this, 123 to 160. Nice bounce. Moving averages are all going back in the right direction again. And so we've had a nice move, right? A really good move. It's only human nature, and it's healthy to have a retracement off this. So what are we looking at now? Well, this area over here was resistance for a couple of days, right? 3 days. Couldn't get through. Head faked everybody down to the bottom. Hits the 50-day moving average, and then turns around, and now it's outside Bollinger Bands. We get, that's not a real bearish candle. If it had dropped all the way down, closed to the midpoint of that, then I would have said, yes, it's a bearish candlestick pattern, but it's not. All it's doing now is retracing back inside the upper Bollinger Band and now testing this old area of resistance, which is new support. Similar to what we had back here, wouldn't you say? So is XTZ going to be one of these that goes sideways for a few days and then breaks out? Or is it going to break below and come back and test maybe the 20-day moving average? Right? As long as it doesn't break below this big green stick right here, it's bullish. This big green stick. As long as it doesn't close below $1, I'll call it $1.40. As long as it doesn't close below that, then it's very bullish. Okay? And if I'm looking, I don't see anything other. I mean, it's got a nice kind of rounding type bottom here, right? So is this something that could push it up higher in the next few days to a week? Maybe toward the end of the month, let's call it that. But yeah, it's easy stuff, man. It's what I'm doing is not rocket science. Anybody can do it. Well, some people can. But that's why I'm here. I'm trying to teach you guys. Yeah, let's look at a 4-hour. If you're one of those traders that wants to, I mean, obviously you could swing trade the crap out of this one. You know, just like here. I mean, now you do have a bearish engulfing right up here on the 4-hour, right? But now, and you got a little bit of a reversal pattern right there. It looks like it tried to break through, reversal, but it's still holding the 20-day moving average, the 20 EMA. Each time it comes back, it's holding that 20 EMA. And the 10 has not crossed over it yet. And it's still, just like on the daily, it's still in this consolidation zone. So people are they're trying to push this thing lower, right? But then you could also do this as well. You had this big move, and look at this reversal pattern back over here. That was bullish. But look at this. You could also do something like this. And I'm not trying to overload anybody, by the way. But this little pattern right here is almost like a bull flag. That's a bull flag type pin, or not pin, but bull flag formation. All right? Lower lows, lower highs after that big up move. So it's just consolidating down. And if it can break out of that, then you're going to go back up and retest the highs and possibly make higher highs. Okay. That's what I'm seeing. All right. What else we got, guys? I'm on a roll. Oh, 3-day? You want to look at a 3-day? Okay. Let's go 3 days. Yeah, nothing. I mean, stochastic RSI is still moving up. Could be like we talked about on the 4-hour chart. Maybe that was a bull flag. And maybe this has got enough juice to do something like back in here. Break this thing higher. Right? It's got enough juice, but it could always turn right here. So, again, I would say that's the area to watch. Okay, that $1.50 area. And yeah, it's trying, but here's the problem with cup and handles. And a lot of people, I'm one that believes, okay, to me, is that I would much prefer to see a cup and handle at the bottom of a trend for a more robust move. Okay? Not saying that it can't work at the top of a move, but I would prefer it at the bottom. Okay? This one here has had a nice run, and it's trying to do something like this and cup again. But to me, I would almost prefer it at the bottom. Right? To me, a bottoming formation. Like at the bottom. I'm not saying it can't work. I'm just saying that's what I prefer. Yeah, right. It's a J. Yeah. Oh, goodness me. Okay. Yeah. So, anyway. I mean, see, you can look back here, and that's not really a cup. That's just more of almost like a double bottom type deal right there. But anyway, XTZ looks pretty decent, guys. It really does. Not gonna lie. And we'll see what tomorrow brings. Next couple of days ought to be really interesting for XTZ. Let's go look at, unless you guys want to look at something else, BSV. And again, this is one of those cult ones out there, and I actually bought some, and I put it in channel. I bought some a few days back, back in this area right in here. But I did the BTC pair, and that thing, when it moves, it's a good percentage gainer, but you got to catch it right. I'm just leaning now. Like, if it breaks this 38.2, then this thing could run right up to here, but I would be a seller of it. You got to take your profits and follow the trading plan the best you can. That's what I plan on, doing with this one, and I have done. So, it's just a rinse and repeat for me. Ravencoin, RVN. And yes, I do own this one from the trading plan. Let's see. Still got this. I may have to redo some stuff on this one. It made a lower low. Yep. All right. Time to get some stuff out of here. Let's see. Since we made lower lows. Let's go and get that out of there. All right. So let's just redraw and redo Ravencoin. I think I will leave that in there, though. I'm going to leave that fib in there. I'm going to go ahead and take that one out. I think I may just redo the whole darn thing. Let's get that one out. These are all old ones. I think I'll leave... Yeah, I'm going to take that one out, too, I think. Nah, I'll leave that in there. Okay. Again, I mean, I think I went over this one multiple times, and I don't know if it was last live. It wasn't the live stream with Joe, but I think it may have been the one before. So ever since Ravencoin made this huge move and then made the massive fall down in here, right? What's happened? Up move hits resistance. Down move hits support. Goes sideways. Up move hits resistance. Drops like a rock. Goes sideways. Holds support. And now here we are. So is this going to be, and you got the 200 and the 233 real close, is this going to be one of those that can break out? And if it does, then we all know where you ought to be taking profits, right? Right up in this area. So if you're getting in now, I would put, you got 303. I ain't rebooting my computer, sorry. You could... let's just do this. So back over there was support. Okay. So this little support zone just below here, based on that wick. You could, if you was buying here at 303, if you're really risky, you could put a stop loss around 2. God, you could get wicked. I'm just telling you. 265 to 270, if you're willing to risk that. Again, if it breaks this support zone, then this thing is, in my opinion, it's crashing all the way to 200. That's 100 sats away. Okay. Bollinger Bands are getting very tight, by the way. Okay. This is almost making me wonder if I should buy back a little bit more, just to play it, just because it looks like, just going off previous patterns and what it does, this thing could just come out with some news or something and this thing just blows up. So it may not be a totally bad play. I mean, risk reward, it's probably worth it in my opinion. But again, just know your risk is, what is that, 30 sats away? So if you're willing to risk 30 sats, I do. Oh yeah. Yeah, I played it. I've played it. And I've done my, trading plan. I still own some. In fact, I've got some also on a app. There's a deal that I think it was Litecoin Fam actually got me hooked up on that app deal. So, but yeah, I've still got some in my account as well. Yep. I may add some to it though, just seeing this just as a trade, you know what I'm saying? Because everything looks so similar to back here to here that, gosh, you could buy now and, shoot, even a move to 348, the 200-day moving average, even if it stopped there, heck, that would be a nice little move. That's 10%. I'd take 10% all day. So, anyway, that's RVN, Ravencoin. Just look at that. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. See what happens. Okay, and again, as much as I hate to say it, I've talked about this one till I'm blue in the face, but people are still trying to think that Matic is going to just, and who knows, maybe it will. I don't know. But I told everybody a long time ago when this first happened, I think I told them back in here, and this was early December, I was like, this thing is going nowhere for a long time. Now, if you want to sit there and trade 30 sat moves, or 10, and you see it's just squeezing in here like this, maybe it could. But to me, I think once it just did something like that it could do something like this for even longer. There is so much overhead resistance up here that until those people get washed out, this has no chance. Let's go look at Link. So Link hit the 78.6 retracement until it breaks that. It's kind of stuck. It is holding the 10 EMA though, the blue line. See that? Held it once there, twice there, 3 times there, 4, 5, 6. So it's holding the 10 EMA. Right? And then I've got the retraces down to, which it just hit the 23.6. If it breaks below this area, then it's coming down to 240, 238, 240. If it breaks above 283, let's call it 284. Then you're coming up to retest that high at 315 and then eventually 327. What is Maker's DAO? Makers, what is that? What's the ticker? Never heard of it. Hang on one second. Give me 2 minutes. I'll be right back. Okay, sorry about that. All right, payday. I do not know what Maker's DAO is. All right, anybody else have any questions, chart requests, or anything training-wise, fibs, Bollinger Bands, support, moving averages, anything like that? Let's go look in and check in on one of our, well, I say one of our, it's one of my favorites, Digibyte. Mentioned this the other night, weird pattern right in here. Look at all these wicks. I mean, of course, price is not real different, but just a lot of indecision right in here, but still holding the 10 and the 20. And the Bollinger Bands are starting to get, well, they're still semi-tight, but it's stuck between support and resistance right here, between the green and the red. So looking to see if it can bust a move up to the trend line, and if it does, it still has resistance at 87 and more resistance at 92. So areas to watch. 200-day moving average lines up on that fib cluster and that trend line. So watch that. And the 233 is coming down on this fib cluster. So anyway, still going to take some time, but I think we'll see what, I'm just looking at the way these, unless Digibyte just takes a total dump, I'll be real interested to see what, let's just call it maybe somewhere in mid-February. Maybe February is going to be the month. We'll see. Bitcoin midterm over the next 3 to 4 weeks. Okay, so we'll go back to that one. Let's just take a look here. Okay, So we're sitting here on January 21st. I would say that this is a gut feeling. Of course, things change day to day. If Bitcoin can just stay in this area, right, and just go sideways for the next, let's call it week, then I think it eventually is going to break to the upside. Okay? Unless we break back below, we had this trend line that we broke out of, right? And I'll zoom out a little bit and show you, right? So this trend line right here, we broke above. Zoom in a little bit and what's been going on. We came back and retested it. Not once, but twice. And we're holding this support level. Okay? So as long as Bitcoin can hold this green support zone, then I think, and this just gut telling me, is that we're going higher over the next 3 to 4 weeks. And I could be just totally wrong on that, but that's what my gut's telling me. Okay. And then let's go look at let's pull up the weekly chart's going to look kind of messy on this chart. Let me go over to my other one. And let's go over to the weekly. Guys, give me like 2 minutes. I'm sorry. Give me 1 minute. Hang on. Okay, so sorry about that. One of the cats was having some issues. Okay, so if we go back and look at the weekly chart, here's what I'm going to be focusing on. And we talked about this earlier with moving averages, right? So we've had the 10 cross through the 50, okay? What's going to happen when we get up here, right? And what's going to make these moving averages go higher? Price. So if Bitcoin can sustain or hold in this area over the next week, price goes higher, the 10 comes through the 20, and then the 10 becomes support. So even though we may go higher, at some point we're still going to come back down and retest that 10 EMA. It's just going to be a matter of where the 10 EMA is going to be by that point. So, I think things will get a lot more clearer probably by let's just call it a week from yesterday. When we see the next weekly close, these moving averages are going to update, right? Let's see where they're at next week. I mean, right now, I want to see like just the most boring week you've ever seen in your life. I just want to see it go sideways without any kind of like huge moves down. Not saying that we can't get down to 8,000. We could, but I would want to see it reverse and wick hard off of that. I do not want to see, like on a weekly chart, I do not want to see this 10 fail to get past the 20, right? If this starts to curl back down, then we're in trouble. Okay? The volume. Yeah, I mean, so let's look at it. We had all this volume over here, obviously. You know, you had everybody and their dog FOMOing into this thing, so there's your volume. And then same thing over here. Well, you had major sellers right over here that got greedy, and they got smoked right back in here. And then the bulls took over and turned it, and then it started to FOMO. Volume gets higher. Downtrend. Notice how our volume has gone down in this downtrend. That's just lack of interest, for a better word. Or it's people that are just, they're not going anywhere, right? There's no buying interest, huge buying interest, but then there's not a whole lot of sellers either, right? This just looks like to me, and I said this before, after this move up, this just looks very corrective, right? That's a what is that? Since June, all the way down to here, that's a very corrective move to the downside. And so let's see what's going to happen in the next few weeks. Are we going to get a move to the upper Bollinger Band, right? Is the 10 going to cross the 20? And is the 10 going to stay as support? These are things we went over earlier in the live stream, right? You want to see these moving averages hold as support now, right? Whether it be at 8,100 or 8,300. You want to see this area hold, that 38.2. And then go up, and let's see if we can maybe possibly take out that trend line. Again, I think if we get above, say like this wick over here, by that time, then I think this thing is going to have major FOMO going on, and we're going to start seeing some of these big green sticks. That's just my view. The bearish case would be that this area fails, right? And it can't make a higher high over here, and it just turns and goes south. Thank you very much, Crypto Beat. I appreciate it. So we always have to look at bearish scenarios, and we have to look at bullish scenarios. Okay? I'm a bull by heart, but that doesn't stop me from protecting my capital and knowing when I think it's time to stay away. Thanks, Vincent. I appreciate it. All right. I'm not going to keep it on here too long. I don't want to bore everybody to death, but I'll stay on as long as you guys need me. I'm going to give it probably... oh, you're from Sydney. Oh, my gosh. Vincent. Oh, goodness gracious. The fires down there. Is everything going okay down there? Is that getting under control? I haven't heard lately. Oh, goodness gracious. Well, prayers to you and your family, and I sure hope it ends sometime soon. Maybe there'll be a monsoon or something that comes through there and just wipes all that out of there, and cooler temperatures and that stuff. Oh yeah, the animal loss. Oh my gosh, that's so sad. Oh man. I saw pictures of the koalas and, you know, kangaroos and stuff like that. Oh my gosh, so sad. So sad. That's such a beautiful country too. Wow. Mm-mm-mm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not. It's all real. That's for sure. I saw satellite images. And they were showing the smoke. How it's like it's now starting to come around the globe. I mean, it's just that bad. That's just unbelievable. Mm. All right. Let's see. Yeah, it is for sure. Any questions? Chart requests? Anything charting wise you guys want me to go over? I still have a little bit of time left. Let me get back to my faves here. Right? Yeah, I know, right? Ethereum on 1 hour. Okay. Let's go look at it. I haven't looked at Ethereum tonight. Okay. So real quick, I'll show you the daily just real quick, and then we'll go to the 1 hour. So on the daily, I came up with this fib cluster right up here, which is where basically Ethereum stopped, right? So that was at 183 to 184. 200-day moving average held it in check as well, right there. So now we're looking at downside retracements to, well, let's do this. I know I drew it that way, but let's do it this way. And let's give it this little support zone here. All right. Something like that. Okay. So you would want to see it hold the 38.2, which is down around 155 to 157-ish. And then secondary support down below, which means it would get it past these moving averages, right? But for now, it's kind of holding the 10 EMA, 20 EMA has come into the support zone. So if it drops back down again, that's going to be your area to watch. Let's go look at it on a 1 hour chart. And let's just zoom in a little bit. This has the potential. That little pattern right there, it possibly could be a bear flag, right? You had the big move down, choppy upside, higher lows, higher highs. So let's watch and see if maybe it's going to do another move to the downside. Here's what I would do. I'm going to do, and I went over this earlier, symmetry, right? So we had this move down, and let's go see if we've got any kind of symmetry going on in this little area that, let's just say trend-based fib extension. Let's do that to, that was the, let's call it here. Might as well. And then let's move it up to here. Okay. So you could get, and that's based on if this is a high, right? This could move higher, and that'll adjust this number right here. But for somebody that was wanting to be like, and this is kind of crazy to think of. Well, I'll do a Fibonacci on it too. Let's do it this way. Oh goodness, there's the cat again. Oh my gosh. Hang on. Okay, she's being rather bitchy tonight. Okay, so anyway, let's find out why she stopped over here. That looks like possibly a 78.6. And it's pretty close in that area. So let's do this. And let's take that out, that out, that out, clean it up a little bit. Okay, so, and roughly holding the 200-day moving average on the hourly chart. That's rather interesting. Now let's go and look at potential upside retraces down like this. And let's draw them in and see what we're struggling against here. 50% retracement. Okay. We'll put a 61.8 in there. Okay, so there's what you're looking at. Basically needing to get back above 170 to get to the next level at 172 and then eventually up to 175. If these moving averages fail right here, and this is rather interesting. Let's go back and look at this. It's interesting how the 200 and the 233 are just keep climbing and they're holding it as support, right? So watch that area real close. And if that fails, then you're coming back into this support zone and then possibly even down into here. Okay. That is what I would be watching. Okay, Vincent, OMG. What is going on to OMG? Let's see here. Is that the USD pair? Okay. You're welcome. You're welcome, CryptoB. OMG. That's interesting. I don't even have it on my list here. Let's take a look. OMG. And let's switch it over to daily and let's go over to the chart. Yeah, it gosh, hit a high of, what is that, 320 back in July. And here it is all the way down to $1 and below. All right, so I have not charted this one before. So let's take a look at it. And first of all, let's go to, I just want to get a wide look at it. Let's take a look at the, wow, oh my. Weekly chart. Oh my gosh, this thing was, are you kidding me? This thing was once $28. Holy Moses. Okay, well, it's going to be pretty hard to draw because it's not going to be anywhere close to any kind of fibs. All right, so let's do this, okay? I'm going to disregard this wick out the bottom, right? I just, something like that, it could have been a bad print, something. I'm just going to focus in more on the, I could always go to a line chart. That always cleans things up. It takes those wicks out of there. So let's do this. Let's just take horizontal ray and let's go to the bottom of this. All right, and that's going to be support, resistance. So let's change that over to red. Okay, so if it ever starts to move up, then you know that area is going to be resistance. Now let's go back to candles and let's go to a daily chart. Wow. And we're going to have to zoom this in. So it's had a, hit back over here at 56 cents and has bounced off of that. Let's go horizontal ray. Let's go ahead and just put that in there as support. And actually, I think I'll do it this way. Hang on. Let's just make that a rectangle and let's do it this way. There we go. Kind of covers up the wicks and gets it more to where the close was. All right. So now let's draw some fibs and see what we're dealing with on the upside. So let's go from one from here down to that low. And it looks like a 61.8% retracement on this one is holding it right there. Let's do another one from right here down to here, and let's see if we got like a 1 2. Yeah, there it is, 1272, and it's a fib cluster. What a surprise! All right, so there you go. So you got a fib cluster here, resistance, this 90-cent range, and then just above that, if it breaks that, then you've got the, well, let's call it $1. All right. It's still holding the 10 EMA. Let's go look at some Fibonacci retracements to the downside, if that was the top. And that almost looks like a 38.2, if I'm not mistaken. Close to it, yeah. In fact, I may just take that 38.2 out of there. It's in between the 38.2 and the 50, but we're getting the 20-day moving average holding up as well. So I'll leave that on there, and just knowing that it could possibly come back and test 73 cents. But you've got the resistance overhead as well. So if me, I would be hoping for a retrace back to here at 73.5, possibly even down to the 61.8 or the 50% retracement, 70 to 73. That's what I would be hoping for if I was. Wow. Sorry about that, guys. Can you hear me? Can y'all hear me okay? That was weird. My studio went offline there for just like a couple of minutes and had to restart it. Yep, I did. Yeah, that was weird. Briefly. Maybe that's a sign. So this has been a 2-hour stream. I'm going to give it, guys, I'm going to give it about another 15 minutes unless anybody has anything they want me to go over. Give it a 15-minute call. What else can we delve into here? Let's look at theta. I haven't looked at that one in a while. Joe was talking about this one the other night, and it looked pretty darn good. Yeah, this is one to watch. Let's get some of this old stuff out of here. I think I was looking at it on a BTC chart. Let me go do that. Ah, there we go. Okay, so it's broken the 38.2. Testing the 50. And I think that was... There we go. Oops. Ah. There we go. Okay. So still a potential for this one to make some moves to the upside. It's not so far outside the Bollinger Bands. It's like still inside. It went above a couple of times, pulled back. This is one you have to watch. EMAs are looking really good, and it's above the 200 and the 233-day moving average. So the minute, and price is going to dictate whether these moving averages curl up, and that's going to kind of be the thinking. Guys, I'm really thinking theta might be a decent, let's call it a longer term hold, maybe 2 to 3 months. It's kind of my thinking. That one might not be too bad. This thing looks like it's starting to get its act together. I don't think it's going to get to the moon overnight, but over time, this could actually start to work this way. So, okay. Anyway, that's theta. In fact, that goes on the watch list. Let's go back and see if anything else is going on. Bitcoin just kind of blah blah. We did Ethereum, XRP we did not go over. So for you XRP holders, this is kind of what I got on this. Talked about this trend line right here to see if this would hold. Still looking good if it does, right? You would want to see maybe, and this has got to give way either in the next, let's call it by the 25th. By the 25th, this thing is either going to be breaking below or it's going to be holding and moving higher. Okay? That's on XRP. And it's pretty darn close to the 200 and 233-day moving average that if it breaks and can get past that, there's still this fib cluster up here. You got resistance here, obviously, but fib cluster at 27 cents. And then after that, 30 cents? So it's kind of what I'm watching on XRP at least. Moving averages are starting to go in the right direction now, right? It's not like back here when they were all working against you. They're out now all working with you. Okay? All right. What else? XLM was one of those that, still just hanging around below that 50% retracement. And, it's overbought, but it can stay overbought. We've seen that before in the past. It can stay overbought for quite a while. I would still expect a little bit of a retrace off this. Possibly even down into this area. Testing the 200 and 233. So if it wants to move higher from here, you got next resistance at 7 cents. If you're playing that one. ZRX. Decent reversal pattern here. It's not super. But you had a big red stick and a doji and now a green stick. And it's trying to hold and get back above the, it held the 200. Now it's trying to get back above the 233. We got this fib cluster here at 26 cents that held it in the past. There's still another one up here at 30 cents. So that's the area I would be watching for on ZRX. That one looks pretty decent. BAT is another one I think that looks pretty decent. Just kind of consolidating in this area, right around this old resistance, new support line. 200, 233 right there. If this thing can move higher, then we're going to get the 20 and 50 EMAs pushing through. And that would be super bullish. EOS. Same sort of thing. You know, in between the 200 and the 233. Now it's going to be a question of if it can push above the 233 and get the rest of these EMAs going in the right direction above them. Did actually break that little trend line on the indicator, but price actually came down and tested 200, so it reacted off that. ADA, that's one we haven't talked about. Some sort of rumors or something about it was doing something with somebody, and it's doing the same thing as ZRX and BAT, stuck in between the 200 and the 233 day moving average. It's still holding this support line, but it does have massive resistance right up here. So the question is, are you wanting to buy into that resistance? We've seen it get rejected before. There's a little bit of room left, right? But is it worth the risk? You know, the only difference is that price is now starting to creep in and above the 200 and 233 where it didn't in the past, right? Didn't get real close. Now it's busted the 200-day moving average. And now it makes you wonder if this thing can really get going. One to watch. One to watch. That's ADA. Atom. Yeah, that trend line is just done, I think. I mean, it went below it. Let's see. I don't know, line chart, what happened here. That's interesting. On the line chart, it's holding the trend line, but on the wicks, it's broke below. So, might still watch Atom. I mean, it's still holding some support. Guys, that's pretty much all I can come up with, unless you guys have any questions or chart requests. Give it a 2-minute call. Two-minute call. All right. Doesn't look like I see any questions, so I may go ahead and cut it off a little short. All right, guys. Again, I appreciate y'all coming in. Hopefully, I was able to help with some training and whatnot. Thanks again for coming in. I'll definitely be trying to do like 1 or 2 of these a week, and possibly get Crypto Joe to come in from time to time and help you guys as much as I can. Thanks again. Y'all have a great night. Good luck trading. Be careful out there. And we'll talk soon. Thanks, guys.